We're on. Hey, morning, Refresh. Hope you're all
Morning.
well. It's great to be part of you this Sunday. It's not Sunday here, but it's Sunday there. How weird is the north and south? That divide. Amazing. Anyway, so we're here. We want to say thank you for the invite. We just want to say, it's really a privilege to us to be able to share with you in your gathering. Do you think that's so?
I think it's a gathering. Do I mean think it's a privilege or think it's a gathering?
Gathering, not a privilege. It's a burden, isn't
I
it?
do think it's a privilege.
Oh,
I don't
right.
know whether they're gathering or all watching it.
No,
or
they won't be
whatever, I don't
gathering
know.
in the
Yeah,
building.
no,
they'll
I
be-
know, but I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
We don't know.
we don't
sorry.
know. We know that you're watching wherever. And we just want to share a few thoughts that we've been having while we've been experienced, like everyone else, the lockdown situation. We do want to say a big welcome. I've got a list of names here that people have remembered. If your name's not on, it's not that I've forgot you by name. I know you by face, but Judith, Tony, Adam, Phil, Colin and Joe, Leslie and Mark. Can I just say, Mark, get that flippin' Borough shirt off. You look a mess. Susie 1, Susie 2, Mary, Martin, Doug. All right, Doug. Hope the guitars are well. Anita, Tim, Dave, Susie and Steve, Richard, Ian, the dogs, the cats, the pigeons in Tony's garden. Anyone else, we just say a big welcome. Thank you for letting us speak. And we just want to share. It's not a preach. It's just a bit of a ramblings, really. Some of the things we've been thinking. We're both doing well. We're busy with our charity at this time. Do you want to say a bit about that?
Yeah, obviously not visiting any places, but the COVID-19 having an impact on people's emotional state. We work a lot with schools, with GPs, obviously with other organisations. So we've just spent a lot of time getting everything onto telephone appointments rather than face-to-face, and finding that now Easter's over. Requests are starting to come in for people just wanting to offload, talk about some of their anxiety. So we're very blessed with a great team of volunteers that are carrying a lot of that for us.
Yep, and I've been ringing the sports clubs, speaking to individuals. Last week rang all the rugby league players and the backroom staff, ringing managers and coaches, physios, fire stations. Everyone appreciates the fact that you're just looking out for them and appreciate a call and asking how they are and tell them that we're praying for them. So we're working from home most mornings doing stuff and then trying to keep busy. I'm out early mornings walking 5-7 mile. Loving it with the weather. When it starts raining it'll be different, but I'll still do it. And we're just trying to keep ourselves busy, but not too busy, resting where we feel we need to rest. It's okay to rest, and for some of us who are activists, this time will probably be a bit difficult, but we can learn from it as well. And so we're just going to share some thoughts of what we could learn from something from Paul in the book of Acts 27, where he gets shipwrecked. And he's been shipwrecked 3 times, and the time when he gets shipwrecked in Malta, there's the whole thing where he keeps telling people, throw everything over, get rid of the stuff you don't need, because if we're going to survive this together, let's get rid of stuff. And it's interesting, a lot of people are saying on social media, even on TV, the amount of work they're doing on the houses, the amount of rubbish they're finding that they've had stored in the cellar or in the loft that they're getting rid of because they said, we don't need it. And it's actually helping people to have time to get rid of the things that have clustered the houses, clustered rooms up. And when you've got time, when you're not running around doing the work that you've got responsibilities. Now I know, like in our church, we've got a lot of people who are on the front line, key workers who are working, and we're grateful for them, and they're doing amazing jobs. But for a lot of people, just being stuck in their home, in their flat, it can be a difficult time, but at the same time, it can be a time where we can meet with God, maybe see afresh. And through this shipwreck thing, where Paul...
Can I just comment on
Yeah.
Sorry, just picking up on that, chucking stuff overboard and getting rid of stuff Baz was talking about physically in the house. But I think it's interesting already, a lot of people have started to say what are the things that we have realised aren't as important as we used to, things that we used to think were really important, and in this time we've started to think differently. So maybe not just physical clutter for some of us, maybe there's a throwing out, a throwing overboard, a decluttering of routines, or things that we were involved in, maybe just day-to-day stuff that we realised doesn't matter. And I guess this is a time for all of us to be thinking not just on the physical, but also what are some of the things that we've maybe started introducing in this season that we're really enjoying? What are some of the things that are lost from this season, and actually we realise that's not a bad thing, and maybe those things need to stay overboard, not to pick them up again when lockdown's lifted.
Very good. And there's things we could put back into our lives, into the rhythm that we actually lost. So one of the things I'm doing, which at 8:45 every morning, I'm joining morning prayers with a local Bible college. Yeah, and I'm literally just sit, listen to someone talk for 10 minutes, and then we all pray together for our communities, our loved ones, this nation and other nations. And it's very different to what I'm used to, but actually it's a good discipline for me. And then a friend of mine, an Anglican vicar, at 10 o'clock every morning, he does a 10-minute just encouragement for obviously his parish, but other people are watching it and are joining on that. And Linda and I, we've signed up for the last 3 days. Well, this is the last day today. A Bible study with Jeff Lucas at 2 o'clock. He's been going through the book of James. And again, that's been helpful. So it could be different things, or it could be things that we used to do that actually we've got time now to think, do you know what, I'm going to do that again. Because it's just good, it's good to do. It's good.
Yeah, we used to worship a lot together, didn't we? Which we probably haven't really done recently. And one of the things that we've found really helpful is Dave Bilborough. If you know him, he does like an acoustic set every Saturday afternoon just for half an hour, worship songs. And so I think we're into week 5 now.
Yeah.
Baz and I have been doing that as well. So maybe different things for you, but just some really helpful little routines that we've reintroduced into life and chucked other stuff out.
Yeah. And for Paul and the people, you know, the guys on the ship, obviously they were worried, they were concerned, and Paul just kept saying, trust me, listen to what I'm saying, and it'll be okay. But for a lot of us, you know, we can, I know for ourselves and for myself, for my own mental health and well-being, I had to stop watching a lot of the news because it didn't encourage me. It actually got me feeling quite anxious, quite sort of frustrated. So if I watch 5 minutes a day now, that's a lot. And the last few days I haven't watched any because I just thought, well, I don't need, you know, I know what I need to do. I'm trying to be, you know, careful when I go out for a walk, and I'm not just going to listen to all these statistics and get sort of feeling quite oppressed by it. But actually I just think, well, I've got to actually do things positive that are going to help me in this time.
I guess that's a really good point from Paul, where the sailors are all listening to each other. We're going to drown, we're going to drown. And Paul's the one who brings in a voice of clarity and encouragement and hope. And from what Baz is saying there about us being aware of which are the voices that we're listening to, and which are the voices that we realise could be detrimental to us, and which are the voices that could really help us in this season. So something about those voices of hope or calm or truth and clarity are the ones for us to focus on.
And I'm really encouraged because I've invented a new word that I'm hoping Susie Dent from Countdown will accept, and it'll get put in a dictionary for next year. The word is segmentisation. And what it means is I'm actually putting things in little segments during the day to actually have a rhythm. So like I've told you about the morning prayers and my friend Jeff Lucas, Dave Bilber on a Saturday, but other things where I'm actually thinking, right, I'll spend some time reading, I'll spend some time listening to my vinyl collection. I'm on day 36, album 36, and just different things, but also giving me space where I'm actually just going to sit in the chair and just be still. And it doesn't mean I'm asking God and listening to it. I'm just enjoying being quiet, just relaxing. And I think if we can have different things, then it breaks down maybe sometimes where we think this is monotonous. But it's very interesting when actually Paul and then was shipwrecked and they landed in Malta. Now, we love Malta because it's where we went on our honeymoon, and we've been a few times, but a lot of people will say that Malta's a place you either love or hate. We love it. We've met people who hate it. They say, well, I won't go, I'll never go back. But it's them things. What is the things that you love? What are the things that you did love that you could actually, you know, get rekindled? But for Paul and them, when they were shipwrecked, it says we spent 3 months, lovely, wonderful months there. It could be 3 months that we're in lockdown, and that could be, for some people, that could be a harsh thing to think of. But what can we learn in them 3 months about ourselves, about our communities? I mean, we're, you know, like a lot of places, you know, communities, they've set up WhatsApp groups. We're praying every Sunday at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, going round our road and praying for every household. And we let them know that. We're now getting people sending and asking us to pray specifically for them, in individuals, what's going off in their lives. And we're seeing that the goodness and the kindness of humanity. People who are Christians, but people who aren't Christians are doing some wonderful things.
And you said in the story, it says something about the people are treated them
really
well, and I find it really interesting that yes, there'll be negative things that we can see, but so much good that's coming out, and communities getting together and neighbours getting together, and just in our neighbourhood on our street, people are sharing things with one another in a way that we've never really done that before. You know, messages on the WhatsApp, does anyone have this or does anyone have that? And obviously getting shopping for those who need it, but just even smaller things. Somebody popped a packet of seeds through my letterbox yesterday because I wanted to plant some sunflower seeds, and the ones that I'd ordered hadn't arrived. So just loads of opportunities to connect with people in ways that are really special. I'm sure you're all doing that anyway, but it's looking for those kind of opportunities that come along.
It says in Acts 20:28, the natives went out of their way to be friendly to us. And that's what we're finding, that our neighbours, I heard a story last week where one person on her road, she said, in the 35 years I've lived on this road, this is the first time the neighbours have been really neighbourly to me. 35 years. And so even in all the bad things we're reading and hearing about, and the lives that have been lost, there is good things from it that's coming and has come.
I was just going to say, a friend of ours set up a WhatsApp group, didn't she, on her road, and there was people on there said similar, that they'd lived on there 10 years and never spoken to another person on the street, and now they're obviously clapping like everybody is on a Thursday night for the key workers. But what's interesting then is people are just hovering for a few minutes and chatting to one another across the road. Such a small thing, and yet such an amazing thing that she's opened up just by setting up that WhatsApp group, that people on that street in a time of isolation are now feeling more connected to their neighbours than they did before.
Yeah. Have you got any things you like to share?
I guess the other thing was just because we're aware, like Basil said, there are people at home, but there are people at home who are really busy. Those of you who've got children at home that you're homeschooling, as well as perhaps trying to work, particularly if you've got toddlers, really young ones. Some of you will be ultra busy because you are key workers, you are on the front line. And we all are really aware of the verse, be still and know that I am God. For said that verse, Psalm 46, everybody, oh yeah, that verse where it's be quiet, let's be quiet. And I think it's really interesting, the context of it is similar to what Baz has talked about in the middle of the shipwreck, in the middle of the storm. Paul is finding some clarity, and when they land on an island that isn't where they intended to go, there's something about him just settling. It says he's sitting by the fire. Presumably they're cooking and just kind of accepting where they are in the season that they're in. And Psalm 46, the whole psalm actually is about the end of the world as we know it. If you read it through, it talks about the earth giving way, the mountains falling into the sea, the waters surging. I don't mean that literally, but actually when things change in a way, you know, the politicians keep using the word unprecedented, don't they? But it's like, it does feel for a lot of people, this is like the end of the world as we knew it. Everything that we had in place, every security, every routine, everything we know has been totally turned upside down, thrown into the air, tossed into the sea. It's like the mountains have become flat and the seas are roaring. And right in the middle of that then is that little verse, be still I think you said in the message, it says press the pause button.
Mm.
Be still, press the pause button, take a moment. And why? To know that I am God. And I don't, some of us are in a privileged position. We can take a lot of time to really reflect in this time. Some of you be absolutely overworked and hectic, but there's something still really valuable and essential in this time with so much change and so much uncertainty, to pause, not just to pause literally from our activity, to pause internally, just to take a moment, press the pause button, and remember that God is God. And there might be specific things you need to do that. As I talked about, reading his Bible, walking, watching, worship things. It might be just sitting in the garden. But more than ever, I think at this time it can be so easy for some of us. I like to be in control of things. So it'd be so easy for me to go into absolutely workaholic mode and do everything I can to try and manage my way through this situation. And I realise actually part of God's message to us in this time, like Paul just sat by the fire accepting the season he was in, is for us maybe to just pause, do something about acknowledging and accepting the season that we're in, and giving our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our souls space to remember that God is God. We sent that little excerpt out to all our volunteers last week, just to say, remember, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, so be kind to yourselves, give yourself time. And one of the chaplains came back saying it's interesting because the verse after says the Lord Almighty is with us. And he said, usually in the Bible, when you see God is with you, it's attached to an activity. Go and do this and I will be with you. Follow my ways and I will be with you. So he said, maybe even being still is the activity that God is calling us to do in this time. So it's not being still in a passive way, as in I'm not doing anything. It's actually proactively, actively being still, choosing to be still and still our hearts and see what Holy Spirit might want to whisper to us individually as well as a community in these very, very, very strange times.
She's good, isn't she? You're good. We just want to finish by reading something. A friend of mine who's a chaplain of a rugby league club, he did a little 2-minute talk for the team and the squad and the club, and he does it every week. And he just simply said this. His name's Paul, and he said this: "This is the storm, but don't let the storm break you. May the storm actually make you instead." I'll say that again. This is the storm, but don't let the storm break you. May the storm actually make you instead. And that's our prayer for you guys and for us, for our community, that in all what's going on, in all the uncertainty, in the anxious times, the times when we're not sure how we should be reacting, like Linda said, just be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, give yourself space to be real and honest, and just say, God, here I am. I'm struggling. I'm just trying to be me in this. But don't beat yourselves up. Just actually allow God in this to teach you and teach us something more of the goodness of God in this. So we want to say, God bless you. Yeah. We love you guys. We always love being with you. We always love hearing what Refresh is doing. Sorry, Mark? Oh, the painting behind. Yeah, it's the one I did. And Godfrey used it on his album. Anyway, let's get back. Linda's going to pray for you guys, and then we'll leave you. Have a great time together.
Yeah, Father, thank you that you're with us across the miles, because you're everywhere. I thank you that you are God. You don't stop being God in difficult situations. Just thinking of that Godfrey song, you're still God. And so I pray for each person at Refresh and their families, Lord, whether this is difficult because it's so quiet and lacking in activity and lacking in connection, whether it's hypermanic because of trying to juggle so many different roles, or being on the front line, doing frontline services. I thank you that you know each and every person. And I pray for each and every person, Lord, there would be a knowledge of your presence, that each of us would find a way to just press the pause button, still our hearts, and from doing that find a level of trust that comes from remembering that you are God. We love you, Jesus. Help us to see the things to throw out of the boat, the things to hold on to, and the new things to build for the future. And I just pray blessing on each and every one fresh. In
Amen.
Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Bless you guys. We love you. Thank you.
Hopefully see you for real soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.